Welcome to the Texas State University, McCoy College of Business Studies in Entrepreneurship Guest Speaker Series. In 1999, the Entrepreneurship program was created thanks to the generous donation of Texas State University alumni Roy and Joanne Mitty. The Entrepreneurship chair was filled by Mr. Sam Barshop, co-founder of La Quinta Inns. Sam had a vision that entrepreneurs from all walks of life would come to Texas State to share their stories with students, faculty, and guests. Emmett McCoy, founder of the McCoy Corporation, Herb Kelleher, founder of Southwest Airlines, and more than 200 entrepreneurs have inspired our students. This resulted in more than 100 business plans being created, 3 of which have won national awards, and dozens of businesses have been created by students, now alumni. These speakers have been an invaluable part of the entrepreneurship program by lending their time, knowledge, and vision to our student entrepreneurs. Thank you for watching, and enjoy today's featured speaker.
So this morning, we have the opportunity to learn from someone who's doing really impressive work in Texas and beyond, redefining what success looks like in the startup world, and also helping ensure that success is achievable or success is obtainable for all individuals who are interested in obtaining it. And that individual is Mr. Preston James. Now, he is the co-founder and CEO of DivInc, which is a startup accelerator that is in Austin. And DivInc was founded, and actually is also the first accelerator in Texas that is dedicated to helping startups grow, and specifically those startups that are founded by underrepresented entrepreneurs. And since 2016, DivInc, Preston and team, have helped launch and scale, get this, more than 120 different startups. And these aren't startups that are just launching. On average, the DivInc cohort, the group of businesses, achieves an overall valuation of somewhere between $50 and $100 million. That's an impressive size. Now, before DivInc, Preston spent about 20 years at Dell, where he served in multiple different roles. He was the he was also the managing director of the Dell Center for Entrepreneurship, where he was able to invest in and help small businesses succeed. And because of this great work, Preston has been recognized with numerous awards, including being named as an Austin Business Journal Power Player for multiple years, 2023, 2024, and also the recipient of the President's Lifetime Achievement Award, which is an honor that was given to him by President Biden. I'm looking forward to Preston's talk today because his journey truly represents and is a reminder, a powerful reminder, that when we open doors for others, we create opportunities that help everyone do better, be better, and achieve long-term or generational success. And that's a true, long-lasting legacy and impact. So I invite you all to please join me in giving a very warm welcome to Mr. Preston James. Yes, thank you. Thank you. Liquor's here. Okay, and water for you right here.
I'm going to try not to spill anything over here. Good morning, Texas State University. Good morning. Let's try it again. Good morning, Texas State University. Good morning. Good morning. All right, okay. So I can't tell you how excited I am to be here today. This has been sort of like a long time coming for me. We started engaging with Texas State some time ago, 4 or 5 years ago. and now here I am. So I want to thank Texas State staff and executives and the McCoy Foundation for inviting me and having me here today. Very special moment for me, so thank you for having me. And that big screen out there, that guy's a pretty good-looking guy. I didn't recognize him, but you're looking good that day. So I want to, spend some time with you today, just kind of sharing some insights and perspectives. I know many of you, I've met some of you, juniors and seniors. We may have some sophomores in here, but I'm trying to remember many decades ago, me being in your position, and very interesting emotions about what's next, the anxiety of what's next, and where do we go, and what do you, trying to get insights to what do people do. So I'm going to spend some time just providing some background and what's transpired, and then some insights, and then really try to keep it as interactive. If people have questions along the way, I know we reserve some time at the end, but if something pops in, feel free to raise your hand. So, all right, I'm going to start jumping in. I may be walking around a little bit, but I think I would entitle this Lions, Tigers, and Bears. Oh my. That's kind of when I went back, I was like, okay, I'm getting ready to go into the world here. What should I expect? I was clueless. Right, so the journey down the yellow brick road, I'm going to try to take you down it before you even go there. Okay, make sure I get the right button. Okay, so first and foremost, who is this dude? Who am I? So I'm just going to normalize myself, right? I'm not some superstar, guy that came in, with credentials out of the world. No. I'm a native New Yorker. I was born in the Bronx. I've been in Texas, Austin, for, believe it or not, 28 years. I'm a proud father of 4 children, right? I have 24-year-old, 21-year-old, 18-year-old who will be 19 on Saturday, and a 15-year-old. So I'm a little bit ahead of you, and I'm right there with you, right? So I know the pains. Been married, happily married for 29 years. I know y'all don't appreciate that, but y'all better start clapping. I did graduate from Howard University, which is a historically black college university in Washington, D.C. I majored in mechanical engineering. I've done 0 mechanical engineering in my career. 0. We'll talk more about that. A little bit more personal. I lost both my parents when I was young. So my father passed away when I was 13. My mother passed away when I was 22. That is not the most dire situation that any of us have, but that was my reality. I'm the oldest of 2 children. My younger sister is 8 years younger than I am, and we both live in Austin, Texas. Between the 2 of us, we have 7 children. And I'm sort of this is a new word for me, I'm an ambivert. I'm an introverted extrovert. So you guys can look that up, Google it up. But essentially, I am sort of shy, quiet, right? But at the same time, I like the social side of it. I love public speaking, but I like my solo time too, right? And as was mentioned, I was with Dell for 20 years. And probably a great experience, really great experience. That was sort of a launch pad to what I'm actually doing now. Let's see what else I'm doing. I'm a boom Xer. So I'm at the tail end of the boomers and the early of the Generation X, Gen X. So I'm blended. But my kids like to just call me, Dad, you're a boomer. Just be a boomer, Dad. Have progressive hearing loss. I was some 20 years old, and if you can imagine 20-something years old and having progressive hearing loss, and you have to put this big-ass hearing aid on, that wasn't cool. It wasn't cool to have that thing on you, for a while. So I battled it for a while, but it is what it is, right? Student athlete, but not a jock. Why do I say that? I'll talk more about that a little bit later. But it was important to have the academics as well as being a student athlete. And then lastly, two things: high empathy for me. That sort of drives who I am today. It's my experiences with a variety of people and demographics, geographics, has allowed me to be an extremely empathetic person. And as a result, I always look for the best in people. I always look to understand where they may be coming from. That's a really important characteristic. And then lastly, modest, humble, passionate, high integrity, and yeah, sometimes I'm a reluctant leader. And when I say reluctant leader, I don't mind being in front, but sometimes being in front all the time kind of goes back to being that introvert, extrovert. I need to pull back a little bit and get into my visionary zone, right? Gives me time to think through stuff. All right, so let me reflect on this really quick. In business and entrepreneurship, success is highly dependent on your mindset, strategy, team, execution, and resilience. Okay? I know y'all can read it. I don't necessarily need to repeat it, but this is really key. And as I was putting this together, how many of you guys play sports in school, or cheerleaders, or anything? This is the same stuff in sports. It's the same. Your mindset. Are you a winner? Do you want to win? Are you willing to work hard? Do you have a good work ethic? Strategy. How are we going to approach what we're doing? Right? What's the game plan? The team. Who are you surrounded by? Your coach, mentors, the execution. You can have all the strategy in the world, but if you can't execute, guess what? You're going to lose the game every time, right? And resilience. When things go bad, what do you do? Great teams respond. And they make those great comebacks, right? It's no different in the business world, in particular entrepreneurship. So let me share some stuff that I had learned about myself. And I'm going to share this with you because I was much older when I recognized this stuff. And I don't want you to be that far down the line. And when I say I was much older, I'm talking about I was like in my 40s, going into my 50s, when some of this came together for me. The core of who I am was already being reflected when I was in high school and college. I just wasn't paying attention. I wasn't paying attention to who I really was, right? So my ability to attract and establish friendships with a broad spectrum of people. Now I want you to think about yourself when you were in high school. I want you to think about yourself now. How you move through the world every day. And when I think about it and I look back at my high school days, you look at my yearbook, all the folks that were signing my books, all my friends who said, hey, loved having a friendship with you many, many years, whatever. Broad spectrum. Geeks, athletes, different demographics, male, female, boom. I was great at that. I think I took it for granted. Right? My ability to bring people together. Now, granted, I have broad spectrum, but the ability to bring people together at the same time for a common goal, I was great at that. I didn't really know. Right? Pretty good public speaker. I remember I actually wrote something and then gave a speech, and I remember people crying. I didn't think anything really of it. I just wrote it and spoke. But how I spoke from here. I spoke from here. And I think a lot of times when people are speaking, right, they're just regurgitating words on paper. But if you could take those words and touch somebody, that's a talent. That's a skill. Okay? A great listener. Kind of hilarious, right? The dude can't even hear, but he's a great listener. But I think because I can't hear, that made me a great listener. I'm not saying I can't hear that well. But it made me a great listener. And when you're listening, you're in tune to who's on the other side of the table. In a nutshell, that made me a great salesperson too. Right? I'm probably ADD. Probably. Never diagnosed. Didn't even know what it was. And here I am. She was 14 at the time. She's ADD. Right? So she goes in and they're like, oh, ADD is hereditary. So it's coming from one of the parents. And my wife looked at me immediately. I'm like, come on, give me a chance here. So it must be me. But as I think about it, it is me. I'm very, very passionate about eliminating inequity and disparities in society. I didn't realize it. I received an award in high school, a Human Relations Award. And I remember asking my mom, what did I get this for? And she said, that project that you did in the community, that you led the team, to do this project in the community. And I was like, oh yeah, I did do that. But I did it because I wanted to. Yes, they asked me for the opportunity. They called on me and they said, would you do this? And I jumped at the opportunity and actually found myself enjoying it. The ability to give back to the community. That was a gift early on, right? Shy and popular. Anybody shy and popular here? Oh, y'all are all just popular? And I seem to be okay, and this is really interesting assessment of myself. I seem to be okay being in that top 1 to 10%. I didn't have to be number one all the time. And some people see that as good or bad. You got to be able to win. But I was okay winning a lot. I didn't have to win all the time. And I was okay with that. Good or bad, I don't know. That's for you to decide. But I like winning. Don't get me wrong. I like competing. Losing does suck. You guys play sports, if you're in a losing season, it does suck. Right? But that was a mindset for me. And, you have to decide for yourself. But these are all things that I recognize about myself in my 40s and 50s. You don't have to do that. Okay? Now, college life and transition to career. Does this sound relatable to anybody? Raise your hand if that sounds relatable. Okay, so I'm on track. But this is really kind of wild. I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going. I'm on my way, somewhere, right? But that's how it felt for me. I had no idea. But I'm going, right? Community, what is the stuff that you really care about? How many of you are active right now doing something in the community? Tell the truth. Okay. We got some work to do. You are passionate about something. Think about it. Keep it in your back pocket. When the opportunity comes, jump in there. Right? The community is where things happen. I'll talk more about that network. Well, the network stuff is right here. Network for life. In the community is where you can network. You have some great people here in this room. Everybody should be walking away with a business card or number for some of these, the leadership that you have in this room. My mistake was I didn't really build any relationship with professors because I was kind of like intimidated. I have to, hand in assignments. And if I don't have any assignment or if I don't know the work, they're going to not necessarily like me. The opposite is true. They want you to come. They want to support you. Right? They want to support you. Leverage that. They could be your colleagues, your mentors, or your partners later on in life. Trust me on that. Some of these professors will be there for you when you're 30, 40, or 50 years old, if you let them be, if you build that relationship. Do it. Internships. How many of you have done at least one internship so far since you've been here? Okay. Let me encourage you. The value of internships is immense. If you can do it, do it. The university is here to help you get there. The professors, mentors, the community is there to support you to get you there. Right? The internships for me brought clarity in terms of where I wanted to go. So I had 2, 3 internships. My mom helped me get those. She made some phone calls for me. And I know sometimes we want to do stuff on our own, right? I want to get it myself. I want to forget about that. The network is here to help you leverage the network to get where you need to go. It is okay to ask for help. I am doing like this on my kids. Ask for help. You cannot do this by yourself. Y'all hear me? Y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Internships gave me clarity. My time's up already? You're good. Okay. Internships gave me clarity in terms of not only where I wanted to go, but what I did not like to do. If you can eliminate the stuff that you don't like and don't want to do, then do that. It gives you clarity, gives you direction. I did internships with IBM, big corporation. Big, right? 2 of them. You learn more about yourself, and you chance to see what's really available to you. What's really happening in the world? What's required? Right? And then you start building your first professional network. The network is probably the most valuable thing that you can start building at this age. Collect those business cards, shake hands, kiss babies, whatever. Leverage that. My mom was awesome at it. I didn't get it. She's like, I need you to come with me to this. Come with me to this event. Come with. I don't want to go. But I went. And those connections were great. Okay? I could have leveraged it better, but the value was there. All right, let me get moving. So this transition here, uncertainty, fear of unknown, excitement, ambition, anxiety, resilience. Okay. That's my main man right there, MLK Jr. Brilliant. Take the first step in faith. I'm not saying God and all that. Take the first step in faith that you're moving in a direction. You do not have to see the entire staircase to take that first step. Believe in yourself, right? You're smart, you're intelligent, you're learning yourself. Trust that you will be able to adjust if things are not going to go the way you want them. You can get off that staircase and get on another one. Right? You can get on another one. Have fun. These days, young folks, they stressing. Y'all stressing. Right? A lot of stress. A lot of stress. Way more stress than I had. Right? And I appreciate that. But you need to have fun. Get your experiences. Take up space and share your voice. In particular, and I want to say this not in an insulting way, women, folks of color, take up space, share your voice. LGBTQ, same. Right? And I'm saying that in particular, I'm everybody, but I'm saying that in particular for those demographic groups. Because the voices need to be heard. It's a different perspective, it's a valued perspective. It needs to be at the table, in the room. And in combination, we do great things. Okay? Be a sponge. Always be learning. Now, like my children, I'm sure all y'all are like this a lot. Right? I'm in the city and people are crossing the street like this. I could never do that back in the day in New York. Right? But if you're going to be on here, be learning. Be learning. There's so much going on today. Be learning. Be passionately curious. Passionate curiosity leads to experimentation, innovation, and what do corporates look for? People who want to innovate, solve problems, right? That's what they're looking for. They're not looking for people who are sitting back and saying, tell me what to do. There are some that can do that. But guess what? There's a thing called AI. I could tell AI to do that. We are looking for people who want to solve problems, who understand what's going on and can come up with solutions. Okay? Excitement and ambition. Let me skip here. Dream up. Now I'm going to share something with you that's really interesting. I had a dream of what my life was going to be like and what I wanted to accomplish when I was at Howard University. And I wrote it down on a piece of paper. How many of you have done that? Y'all better get off the phones and put the pen to the paper. Write it down. I'm going to tell you what was really funny. I wrote it down, I kept it, put it in the folder. When I was 31, 32 years old, I opened up that folder. What was my problem? Anybody? I had already accomplished all of my goals. That was my dream. By 32, I had accomplished that. And I was like, damn, what do I do now? So what's the problem there? Did I dream big enough? Did I dream big enough?
No.
I didn't dream big enough. So what's my encouragement to you? Make your dreams so big that you cannot accomplish them by yourself. You need to dream so big that it scares you. You follow me? You need to dream so big that your parents and friends tell you you are what? Crazy. Insane. You have the right to dream. I don't care where you come from. You have the right to dream and to dream big. So at 32, I had to re-dream. At 32 years old, I had to re-dream. I'm trying to remember if I put it on paper or not, but I think I did. All right. Balance yourself. Have any of you burned out as a student? Yeah. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. And some of y'all are doing like this. It's okay. You need to do that. Because that means you recognize the fact that you need to do a better job taking care of yourself. And you need to ask for help. Right? It's okay. I have friends now who are literally, I mean, it's a whole different world, right, for me right now. I have friends who have taken 3-month sabbaticals. Stop work and they're gone for 3 months. I talked to someone who stopped working, they said, how you doing? Where you been? Oh, I just took off for a year. I took off for 6 months. To take care of themselves, they prioritize themselves. It is okay. It wasn't the norm when I was growing up, when we were growing up, to take off 3 months. What? 3 months? No. You can come back, you might not have a job. As a matter of fact, you won't have a job, right? That's right. Okay. Anxiety. This is one of my favorite active executives. Her name is Melody Hobson. A lot of people don't know who she is, but she's actually married to, y'all know Star Wars? George Lucas, Star Wars? That's her husband. And she is a tremendous financial executive. Y'all in the School of Business, y'all should be following her. The biggest risk of all is not taking one. The biggest risk of all is not taking one. Okay? You gotta put it out there. Take a risk. Take a risk. More than likely, you're gonna have to take a risk to get that big dream. Right? So go ahead and put it out there. Be diligent, be thorough. Reduces anxiety, builds up resilience. Build the trust in the process. Remember your coaches talking about trust the process? It's the same. Trust the process. Okay. All right. I'm going to do this really quickly. I talked about those internships. And when people talk to me about what I wanted to do for my career, I always talk about joining big corporation. my reality was, much later on I recognized that I was naturally attracted to small business. I like the chaos of it, right? The challenges of trying to figure things out, figuring out who your customers are, working in small teams. I was attracted to that. And I didn't really know that. So I was telling myself I was going to do corporate. IBM, Hewlett Packard, all those big companies. All of my jobs were with small businesses. A couple of them were with tech startups, and I have a really ugly story. So my first startup story, you guys are gonna appreciate this. Some of us older senior leaders will appreciate this. I joined a company in 1987. It was called Quantum Computer Services. They had 3 floors in the building, Tyson's Corner, Virginia, which was, Tyson's Corner at that time. And mind you, I have a mechanical engineering degree. I told you my parents died early. And so, because of all that, my graduation and all that was kind of messy. I didn't do the interviews like I was supposed to. So I ended up doing this job at Quantum Computer Services as a customer service rep. I think my first salary was either $16,000 or $18,000 with a mechanical engineering degree. Y'all feel me on that? That's pain number 1. Okay? So I'm on the phones. People are yelling at me. Customer service, right? They're yelling at me. And it was like a new sort of online chat type of, that's when stuff was new. Y'all can't even imagine that. But anyway, it was new. 2400 baud modems, which y'all know nothing about, was new. And I was anxious to move on, right? I needed, to be making $40,000, $45,000. I got to get my degree worth of money here. And so I had an opportunity. I got this call to say, hey, we're really interested in you, did the interviews, blah, blah, blah. And they were offering me $10,000 more. So I'm making $26,000, $28,000. While I was getting that offer, this company, Quantum Computer Services, was handing out a white piece of paper to all the employees to sign. That white piece of paper was something called stock options. So I can go get green paper, $10,000 more green paper, or sign this white paper and get some stock options. So I went with the green paper. It took me a long time to tell this story. So I left the company. About 2 years later, maybe 2.5 years later, the company that I left became America Online. Oh. Did you hear that? Ooh. America Online was like the Facebook, Google of today. I left stock options on the table. I would be like, really, really, really. My name might be on another building on this campus. Not this one. Do you realize how painful that is? But my message to you was, I didn't know. I didn't know squat about stock options, stock, investments, tech startups. I knew nothing. I was just trying to get a job. Young lady I was dating at that time retired. I wouldn't say the word yet. Retired completely, no more work at the age of 32. That could have been me. Didn't happen. So that was I didn't know anything. Y'all have this. Y'all can learn so much more, okay? So I'm putting this chart up here. What you know, you know. Y'all are smart, y'all know what y'all know. What you don't know, you know. Don't drive yourselves crazy trying to, it took me about 5 times to really get this, okay? What you know, you don't know. You already know what you don't know, so you can be curious and go get some knowledge, right? What you don't know, you don't know. That was me. It may not be as handsome as Kevin Hart, but that's me. Here is where you can actually close some gaps, right? But if you acknowledge this piece right here, if you know these 4 quadrants, right, and be conscious of what you don't know, but also understand where you bring value and where there's opportunity for you to grow. I was so far over here in number 4, it blows my mind. Does that make sense to you? It's really, really key. Here's my timeline, right? I told you Howard, Quantum Computer Services, GTSI. I went to this, I took that salary and joined this company. It became a really great company. It was also a small company, grew from like 200 to 500 employees, became the #1, whatever. I went to this company here just as a contractor for a short time. That was a huge mistake. I was like, that's crazy. But then I ended up at Dell. Let me tell you how I got to Dell. This company here, I worked with some people, right, and an executive. Some of them left and went to Dell in 1992. We had such a good relationship. When I bumped into them at work, they were like, hey, are you thinking what I'm thinking for Preston? I'm like, hey, what are y'all thinking? They got me into Dell in 93. Remember I was telling you about that network? That professional network? My buddies here brought me into Dell. Right? 2 people. They were like, yo, we need to, hey, you need to interview this guy. He's awesome. Boom. We do the interviews. Boom, boom, boom. They fly me down to Austin. I come down here and I was like, what the heck? This is a town. I was living in Washington, D.C. 20 years at this place. When I joined Dell, it was a startup. It was crazy environment. Crazy environment. Left Dell in 2014, took some time off. Started an Angel Network. That should be an oops next to here. There should be an oops over there. It failed. It didn't work. I didn't understand my customer. I didn't understand the landscape. I didn't do any research. But Angel Network essentially was to get individual investors to invest in underrepresented startup companies. Unheard of, very few in the country, but I was trying to do that here in Austin, Texas. My mistake, 2 mistakes. 1, I tried to make it only investors of color. There were enough people of color who even knew what angel investment was. So boom, that's mistake number 1. There wasn't enough people who could do it. Right? I closed it off. I should have opened it up. Right? Number 2, I didn't really have any experience to do it. and I didn't have enough of the right people around me to do it. Those two, boom, right? Remember I said team is important, right? Be able to execute, understand business. And then I spent some time at University of Texas. Ooh, don't say that, right? You can't say that here. It's okay. I was an entrepreneur resident there. Got a chance to work with some students there and really understand the entrepreneurial landscape at the university level. Back in 2015, 2017, believe it or not, UT was pretty much a mess from the entrepreneurial standpoint. A lot of resources, disjointed. It got much better over time, but it was kind of a mess. And then I started DivInc. Now, the reason why I started DivInc, let me see where I am. Look at that. How are we doing with time? 2:35. Okay, so I got like 2 minutes, 3 minutes. The reason why I started DivInc is because as a mentor, as an angel investor, every time I walked into a room or I was a mentor somewhere, I was what? The only
Person of color. Person of color.
Thank you. I was usually the only black person in the room. All this innovation that's going on, entrepreneurship, why am I the only one in the room? Now, granted, I'm talking about tech entrepreneurship, but there's also the other Main Street entrepreneurship, which makes up really 99% of all entrepreneurship in the United States. Right? Tech entrepreneurship is like 1%, 2%. Right? And that's the stuff you always read about, the Googles, the Facebooks, all those big stories. But the vast majority of tech startups do not make it. The vast majority of entrepreneurship do not make it. But I felt like, hey, with all this innovation, all this economic growth, all this opportunity to solve problems in our society, why are there not more people of color and women in the room? Where are they as innovators? But this time I did the research, right? My research really was primary research, which is me being a mentor and an investor. I knew what was out there. I talked to the leaders. I talked to the entrepreneurs. What's the problem? What's going on? And how do we need to solve this? And I swore, and here's something really interesting. I swore up and down I was not going to be the one to solve it. I just wanted to know what was going on. Personally, I wanted to join a startup and get my share of stock options. I said, let me go for another ride like Dell. Let me get some stock options, join the startup, be there for 5 or 6 years, and then retire again. But the passion, that feeling that entrepreneurs get, it bit me. And it led me, when I listened to the voice in my head, it said, this is what you need to be doing. If you're a spiritual person, it probably came from somewhere and said, this is what you need to be doing. And for once, my hard-headedness allowed me to listen and follow that path and start DivInc. Another part of that is I was actually doing a mentor session for an entrepreneur. He and I are sitting down together. And when we finished talking about his business, he flipped the script on me. He said, well, what are you up to? And I told him, I said, well, I'm thinking about doing this thing, for underrepresented entrepreneurs or whatever. And he said to me, I want in. He was like 30 years old. right? White guy. Like, what the heck does he know about serving underrepresented entrepreneurs? What does he care? So we did a couple more lunches. He says, I want in, and I know some people who will be passionate and love to do this with you. That was my team. Without them, DivInc would not have started. Why? Because I didn't know what the hell I was doing, to be honest. But that team came together and made DivInc a reality. Took the vision out of here, put it on paper, and launched. It's been 8 years. It's been 8 years. Y'all can clap. So I'm going to go through this really quickly. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. Become more self-aware. Okay? You guys will get this presentation, look at this, right? Have an accurate understanding of yourselves, strengths, challenges, values, motions, hopes of the future. You have to understand yourself. Know thyself, self-awareness. I'll give you a really quick story. This is where a failure for me. I was at Dell, and I was being considered for the next level executive role. And Dell had this weird process where you have to go through these interviews. So I walked into a room to do interviews. There were like 8 to 12, 10 people in the room. I walked in, I was tight. Suited down, tied, looking good, ready to go. Had my information ready, I was prepped. Question came up, what's your weakness? You know what I said? I'm good. Something to that effect. I'm good. I got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but for the most part, I'm tight all the way across the board. What happened? Why? Why did I get the green light to move forward as an executive at that time?
Lack of self-awareness.
I was not self-aware. Everybody has weaknesses. Everyone has challenges. My issue was, and I'm going to share this with this group. Some of you will understand, some of you will not. As a black man, you always have to be tight. Can't show any weaknesses, right? We have to be tight, we have to be strong, we have to be boom. So I went in just like that. Mistake. It is okay to have vulnerabilities and weaknesses and be able to identify them, because as a self-aware person, you can identify, oh, here's what I need to hire, here's what I need to do to complement where I fall short. If you're not aware, that means you cannot do that. You don't understand your own capabilities, what your limitations are. If you can't do that, you cannot lead effectively long term. Self-awareness, right? Some of you will do personality tests or whatever. Do that to get to know yourself better. Understand what your blind spots are. It is okay. Now, they're not expecting you to come in, but I can't do this, I don't know. They don't want that, right? This is what I'm great at. This is what I need help with. This is where I really suck. They're okay with that, right? The better you can do that, the better you'll be able to.
Preston,
Yes.
how old were you when that moment happened, that interview? How old were you?
Oh, I was, let's see here. I'm going to say I was probably mid-40s.
Okay.
That's probably mid-40s. Right? Doing well, making six figures, the whole nine, been in the industry 20 years. 20 years and you're not self-aware? That's insane. Then I had a one-on-one with an executive, senior VP, and he said to me, just kind of blew my mind. He said, of all the people that I have actually talked with, you are the person that comes in with the highest level of street credibility that I've ever met. Now, when he talked about street cred, he meant within Dell. Your street credibility at Dell was the highest I had ever seen, yet here you are. I was failing me. Even with this strong street cred, they were trying to figure out, how does this guy have all this incredible street cred, but yet he's not self-aware? What's the disconnect? I can tell you what the disconnect is really quick. I didn't talk about this enough. Mentors and sponsorship. I did not do a good job having mentors and sponsorship. Anybody to really teach me how to navigate all this stuff. Part of it might have been because I was not self-aware that I needed to do it better. I mean, I had fleeting mentors, they come and go, nothing deep. To say, hey, Preston, this is what you need. This is what you need to look forward to. This is what you need to watch out for. This is those mentors. How many of you can honestly say that you have a mentor that you have a pretty deep relationship with? Good. Okay, so that's probably about 10, 15% of y'all. I'm not saying it's easy, but it's a necessity. I should have a slide on mentor. It is a necessity. Seek them out. Seek them out. They're here at the university. They're out there in the community. And they're going to be somewhere you go to work, when you do your internships. Mentors and sponsorship. There's a difference. Mentors, yeah, they're going to coach you along, etc. Sponsors will probably coach you along as well, but sponsors are going to be the ones who are going to drop your name when you're not in the room. Sponsors are going to be the one that say, hey, Michelle, you need to look at Michelle for this opportunity. Who's Michelle? Michelle is somebody who I'm mentoring, blah, 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 but she would be a perfect fit for this. Guess what? Michelle is going to be fast-tracked to that opportunity. Because why? The sponsor, who's an executive, has street credibility with the rest of his peers, and they're going to get him the benefit of that. A lot of interviews happen that way. When jobs are being secured, oh yeah, Michael, that's my boy, he's awesome, he's sharp, blah, 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 blah. Interview Michael, Michael has a good interview, Michael gets the job. It's like that. Okay. Growth mindset, emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, y'all know EQ big time. Y'all know EQ probably better than I do. Gotta have it at a high level. Gotta have it. Get it. Motivation, self-regulation, empathy, social skills, and self-awareness. Dig into it, okay? Growth mindset, fixed mindset. Entrepreneurial mindset. Josh, thank you for this definition from the paper here. Entrepreneurial mindset is not just for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurial mindset is not just for entrepreneurs. In the corporate world, they are looking for employees with entrepreneurial mindset. What do we mean by that? Creativity, innovation, opportunity recognition. A lot of people just wait for things to come to them. In the corporate world, if you see an opportunity, you need to investigate it. You need to look at it. Bring it to somebody. They may not see what you see. That's the whole point of, diversity and equity and inclusion as well. Communication and collaboration. Lord knows that too many people are coming into a corporate environment in the business world, they cannot communicate. Can't write clearly, right? And can't verbalize. Are you kidding me? 20-something years old, you don't know how to, what? How's that possible? Sounds simple. Collaboration. To sit down and talk with somebody and partner, do something together and get it done. Y'all work in group projects. Collaboration. Be good at it. If people enjoy working with you and doing projects with you, you're doing something wonderful, high value. Okay? Let me keep moving. All right, let's get this DivInc stuff here. I'm going to skip this, right? This is where Josh was talking about a little bit earlier. 120 companies, 25 million plus in investments, 160 million in business valuation. Almost 60% of our companies are still active since 2016. We took a big hit during the pandemic, obviously, so we were around 70%, but that's a pretty damn good number when you consider, like 1 in 10 actually survive. So I'm doing all right. Right? Okay. Long term, where do we want to go for DivInc? 5 more cohorts, 275 million in business valuation, right? All these entrepreneurs here, 350 jobs. This is the vision of where we're trying to go. Okay? Now, let's talk about this. Let me share with you really quickly, and then I'm going to wrap up. I'm a founder and CEO of DivInc. And at this vulnerable moment, I will tell you, I have made a ton of mistakes. A ton. Some days I question, damn, am I a good CEO? I'm probably a better founder than I am a CEO. The reason why I say that is because as a founder, you're a visionary. Right? You're the guy that's out there doing the thing, right? Getting the business going. As a CEO, you're managing and leading and providing people guidance and direction and working the team and they're executing based on that vision. I will tell you, for the first 3, 4, 5 years, I was probably awesome founder, pretty good CEO. Last few years, as the organization had grown, maybe I'm not the right CEO. That's pretty brave to say. I don't mind, because I knew kind of going in that over time, I may not be the CEO of the company that I founded. Because my skill set, self-awareness, my skill set does not necessarily align to where we need to take the company. Does that make sense? Self-awareness allows me to be okay with that. So I'm in the midst of a succession plan right now. And people are like, you're going to give up your baby? Well, people actually don't know. Y'all know, right? The public doesn't know. You're going to give up your baby? And somebody said to me, if bringing in another CEO will allow DivInc to exist and drive impact for another 10 to 20 years, versus it may not make it another 2 or 3, which one would you prefer? That's easy. DivInc, I want DivInc to be around for as long as it can be around, as long as it is necessary. So understanding the self-awareness component and what my value is, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy, allows me to navigate that path. And quite honestly, I'm ready to spend more time with y'all than I am doing what I do today. That makes sense? And I'll also share with you as a vulnerable, being vulnerable here. About a year or two ago, I came back to my board of directors. After a holiday break, I had some time to just debrief myself, right? And I said, you know what? I do not want to manage people anymore. They were like, oh, that's great. Good to know. I said, good, let's make that happen. Why? Because my time and my skills, my value to the organization is better spent doing other things. I cannot be a founder and be the best CEO I can possibly be if I am managing day-to-day people stuff. One of the top CFOs in Austin said to me, not in a bad way, but he was like, more people, more problems. More people, more problems. He was the most successful CFO in Austin. Just retired 2 years ago. More people, more problems. I don't need it. Right? So I will share that with you in terms of, just the self-awareness and the value of doing that. Mentors, sponsors, please take this and go through that list, making sure that you're focusing on each of those areas. If you stop doing any one of these well, your career will stall. You'll be wondering what's next. How do I get out of? You got to be doing all of these at some point. This one right here. Failure is an option. I will almost tell you failure is a necessity. If you're going to get experience, real simple, going back to sports again, right? If you do something, whether you're running or track, whatever it is, and you mess up and you lose, you walk away with that experience with what? Oh, okay, I need to do something differently. It's the same thing, but do you consider that a failure? No. Yeah, you lost. So what? Come back. We'll play each other again. I guess I guarantee you I win. Right? Because I'm going to be better next time. So failure is an option. Take your losses, learn from it, and grow. Okay. Do's and don'ts. Let's see here. Do's and don'ts. That's for you. I'm not going through all those. Okay? That's for you. I would take them to heart. It's a lot. That is not my slide. Okay. Something really quick. This is what I came across. I was on vacation for the last 2 weeks. I came back on Sunday. I thought about y'all the whole time I was on vacation. Right? In preparation for all this. And I came across this. Just came to me probably 2 days ago. We are mirrors. Sit within 25 feet of a high performer, your performance improves by 15%. Same distance, low performer, you go down by 30%. Remember what I said about the team? Think about your sports back in the day. If you were in a losing team, you had some low performers around you, right? And sometimes you couldn't be the best you can be. But when you surround yourself with better players, Not only are you winning, but you're also able to perform at a higher level. Not so much the game, but in the practices, it makes you better. The everyday engagement makes you better. So think about that. All right? Thank you. We're out of time. I'm sorry we didn't take a Q&A.
Preston, what great insights that you shared. These are fantastic. Here is a small token of appreciation from all of us at the McCoy College of Business. Not only great insights, but I feel like you have so much to offer, not just today, but hopefully moving forward.
Absolutely, absolutely. My pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you again.